So what makes a product digital? It is not a black and white situation, but a spectrum. On one hand, we have purely analog products, which do not need or do not work using digital technology at all. Then we have digitally supported, wherein the core functions do not use digital tech, but non-core functions use digital tech. We will see some examples coming up on the next slide. These are actually replicas of what we have seen in the foundation course also. Then we have digitally enabled products. These have analog and physical components, but depend on digital technology in fulfilling their core functions. Without that, their value disappears. And then on the other side, we have purely digital products, which are largely digital, so to speak. These are essentially software products with no analog or physical components. So these are some good examples. On the extreme left, we see non-digital products such as clothes to wear, a backpack, a washing machine. Could have little bit, it does have some technology, so I'm moving a bit towards the right side. Pair of glasses, fully a physical goods. But maybe if you look at modern Google Glass and so on, those are more digitally enabled as well. Then we move on to like, after washing machines, we have cameras. These are supported by digital technology for controlling their lens movement and so on. Then we have, and then we have homes, which may have some digital technology there to switch on and switch off lighting and so on. As we move more towards the right side, we have electric vehicles, which are more enabled by digital technology for their core functions. On the left, we have more about the non-core functions where digital technology is used. But on the right side, as we move more, then the core is supported by digital technology. For example, laptops, printers. And then on the extreme right, we have is fully digital or largely digital, like mobile apps, uh, video editors, and document editors and software applications and so on. For a moment, think about in your own environment what might have been digital, non-digital in that spectrum. So you may want to pause the recording and think about it. Now, since we have been discussing the technology part, let us spend a moment understanding what is digital technology really. Even though it has not been defined as such in this in the official book or here in this course, let's begin with information technology. This has been in place since several decades, wherein, for example, large organizations have been storing and processing their data electronically. This includes databases, data encryption, data packaging, data transmission protocols like TCP/IP, and so on. These are information technologies. We also have something known as operational technologies, or OT. These are mainly automatic detection and control. For example, automatic detection and control of temperature in a data center using sensors and control devices. Then we also need communication technology, networks, internet, and so on. When we combine these, information technology, operational technology, communication technology, then it becomes a sort of digital technology. Or at least it should have some sort of information technology and communication technology, both. And then even better to have operational technology. So in the recent years, you might have also experienced there are newer IT information technology products such as cloud technology, AI, continuous deployment tools, continuous integration tools, container management tools, and so on. Therefore, we can say, we can also bring up one more term known as digitization. An example is scanning a document to convert the information in the document into binary digits. This is very basic. So digitization has existed since several decades, ever since the computer was invented, like a digital computer was invented. So what makes a product digital? This is a good slide that I liked. Non-digital products and components typically depend on physical resources and materials, depend on physical delivery, are impossible to diagnose and fix remotely, have clear border between production and use transfer of goods as the primary form of value co-creation. You might recollect transfer of goods, access to resources, and service actions. These were the three types of service offerings in service relationship between a service provider and a service consumer. So here it is mainly transfer of goods in the non-digital world. On the right side, we have digital. These depend on digital resources, so mainly software and even virtual infrastructure, virtual machines, and so on. These can be delivered instantly and digitally, can be diagnosed, fixed, and improved remotely. These are developed, improved, and used simultaneously. So while the users are using a digital product, the backend teams, they are still developing new features, they're improving. While the current services, the current product is not disturbed, it is still available for use. Of course, when an upgrade happens to it, there may be a slight glitch or maybe half an hour, 1 hour of downtime or slowness in the product, and some services may not be available. So here, digital products and components typically use access to resources as the main form of value co-creation. So I hope this brings you some clarity in differentiating between the various concepts before we move into other topics. So when it comes to, for example, access to resources here on the right side, I can think about file access, account creation, database access for a new team member, whereas transfer of goods is easy. Giving a laptop to an employee or selling, well, actually in transfer of goods, the ownership is transferred. So a shopkeeper gets money from the customer and gives them a laptop. Now, there's one thing which is missing here, the third type of service offering, and that is service actions. Now, these also happen to some extent in the digital world, but these are much less as compared to access to resources in the digital world. So service actions could be, for example, a request to install a software or to activate a software license, a request to configure a device, a request to procure project software, or some sort of approval request as well, or a tool integration request, somebody asking for a report or a document, or someone asking for an invoicing or an invoice copy. So these are various examples. With that understanding, let's move more smoothly forward. In the service economy, let us look at the digital products, how they work. As we have seen, digital products are much different from traditional products. So such products are managed very differently as well from traditional project-based design and production systems. For example, the requirements of the product are understood, then those are designed, then there is construction or build, there is testing, and it is launched one time usually. And in the future, there may be some changes now and then. But now, continual iterative product management shares guiding principles and many management practices with service management. So product and service management work closely together in an iterative manner. This allows integrated, value-focused product and service management. ITIL recommendations apply primarily to digitally enabled and purely digital products. A product may be an innovation, a backlog item based on either a user request, improvement initiative, service failure, or roadmap change. So these are certain conditions that result in creation of a product or enhancements or addition of features or correction to an existing product. And then we have the operating model of an organization that defines consumer product resources and value. We will discuss this operating model further a little later. There is a close connection or relation between the operating model of an organization and what they actually do. For example, do they build products? Do they deliver services as well? Do they do both? And so on. So we'll come to that a little later on. Further. Now, I can say for the exam, this could be important apart from what we have been speaking earlier and what I've been explaining about digital product versus digital service and digital product and service management. So these are some of the key things we have understood so far. and also differentiating a little bit between digital and non-digital. So I would put a lot of emphasis on this for the exam. Digital products are outcome oriented. These products are designed to enable specific results for consumers. These evolve continuously based on feedback from operations as well as consumers from the market, users and customers. These are scalable and flexible. The user base can increase, the user base can also change from one segment to another. For example, younger users versus older, different demographics to support, and data driven as well. A lot of analytics are being used to inform decisions on how product can be improved or adopted for certain markets or consumers, and to optimize the performance of the services associated with such products. And these are co-creative, wherein consumers contribute to value realization through their choices and usage. For example, users will be involved in the design of the product and the service. Once we are done with this section 1, when we move to section 2, section 2 is also a little bit consolidated view of both product and services. But from section 3 onwards, we will largely focus on the service aspect. But initially, for section 1 and 2, we will get a good grounding on product and services and both, and the closeness between the two. So now we have digital product management on one hand versus digital service management on the other hand. Digital product management, it's about managing the digital product throughout their end-to-end life cycle. And you might know from the foundation course, this life cycle has the 8 activities such as discover and so on. So digital product management is focused on providing required capabilities of utility, warranty, sustainability, and experience through the hardware and software solutions. And what this means is the 4 capabilities, utility, warranty, sustainability, and experience, these apply to services also, no doubt, but these are highlighted here. And the definitions for utility, warranty, sustainability, and experience include both product and services. If you go to the definitions in the foundation course, and we might see it later on afterwards also, it is applicable for both product and services. Experience specifically applies more to services. And digital service management. This is about managing digital services throughout their end-to-end life cycle with their 8 life cycle activities. So this is focused on delivering the right product-based capabilities to customers and users and ensuring that the intended value is realized. So on one hand, the product management provides required capabilities through hardware and software solutions, whereas digital service management delivers those capabilities of the product to ensure that the intended value is realized. So both are required to enable sustainable value for customers. So what this last point means for the digital service management is that let's take an example of a product-based capability. On a retail seller website, the product will have feature to create an account for a user. I may want to go to a retail website and create my registered account. And then once I do that, I can search for something I want to purchase and place an order for it. This is the product part. So product focuses on providing required capabilities through hardware and software solutions. Now, let's think about the service. Now, the service will ensure that an ebook product can be downloaded. So let's say I have ordered an ebook from the retail website. I should be able to download it. So I need access to resources. So this is a service which is given to me. I made a payment to buy the book. Now I should be able to download it. If the download does not work, there should also be another service to report it and obtain the support digitally on chat, which is another digital service. So this is how we need to think about differentiating between the product and service, though in many cases the difference is very subtle. I must admit myself that sometimes I cannot differentiate whether something is a product or a service in certain cases. Particularly in cloud services, that can happen a lot. But think about it yourself. You might have your own original ideas. So please pause for a moment and reflect on this.